me, whether or not you're watching live or back on the replay. Appreciate it, as always, for stopping by, hanging out, talking Star Wars recently, watching Star Wars, and talking whiskey. I'll be honest, I've had quite a day. It has been a rough week at work, and today was definitely one of those. Luckily, today is my Friday. Thank goodness I took tomorrow off for a little bit of a mental health day, which will be nice. I haven't had one of those in a while, so it's definitely needed. But I'm excited here because not only are we getting back to watching The Mandalorian, but I am trying for the very first time a whiskey that's been sitting on my shelf for a while that I've been meaning to get to, and I'm finally getting to it. And the reason why is because one of my best friends in the world, when I bought my house a few months ago, gifted me this whiskey. He didn't know anything about it. He very much just went to the store, picked them off the shelf, which I like, and gifted this to me as a housewarming gift. And so I'm very excited and interested to try it. It is definitely one of a kind in my collection. And so, yeah, I'm very interested. It has a lot of wording going on in it, and it makes me think that it'll taste and smell unlike anything I have, and so I'm excited to check that out. And that is, it is from Virginia Distillery, and that is called the Port Cask Finished Virginia Highland Whiskey. Very, very classy type of bottle, almost fancy in a way, if you will. With the kind of bronzish lettering. You got the nice little logo down here. It's actually this lettering right here is actually stenciled. I think it's what's called, stenciled. But I can feel the letters is what I'm trying to say. And so very, very cool looking bottle. It definitely outclasses most of the bottles I have. While the price tag might not, it definitely outclasses the look of most of my bottles. And I'm excited because it's different. It's unique. It combines a lot of different flavors, and I'm interested to see what it tastes like. It's cool. So a lot of whiskeys don't come with this, but this actually came with this cool little tag here, which gives a little bit of insight into what type of whiskey I'm going to be trying. So again, it's the Port Cask Finished Virginia Highland Whiskey. And this little thing, this little tag here says, Virginia Distilleries Company's Port Cask Finished Virginia Highland Whiskey with additional time spent in double oak casks, providing complexity, depth, and nuance of dried fruit, toffee, and vanilla. This small batch Virginia whiskey was curated and is exclusively available to Tasters Club members. So yeah, this is very interesting. I'm excited because, like I said, it's very different from what I usually have. Hey guys, what's up? Everybody in the chat, thank you. Brandy, Sean, Billy, appreciate it. I do promote it, Sean. It's up on my Twitter, man. Relax. If you're talking about the Discord, I'm still getting used to the Discord, so chill. I'll get there. Totally new thing for me. But anyway, Virginia Highland whiskey. I have a glass port already. A lighter color than most of the whiskeys I've tasted recently. And I have a feeling that it's, like it says, it has a little bit of that fruity flavor to it, which I'm expecting. But I have a feeling that it's not going to be as strong as most of the ones I've tried recently. And so I'm very excited to see what it all gets down to. And again, if you have not joined me before, first of all, thank you, as always. And what I do here is I kind of talk about it to open the show, and then I get into watching or talking Star Wars. At this point, it's going to be watching. And then about halfway through the episode, I'll stop and kind of dissect what I've been feeling about this whiskey. Yeah, I know you do, Sean, but I love it. So thank you. So I'll dissect the whiskey a little bit in the middle of the show, and then I'll get back to watching it. And to the end, we'll do it again. And so I'll get much more into the flavor of the smells and the tastes and all that type of stuff in the middle of the episode. I'll talk about it a little bit throughout, kind of what I'm feeling. But this one's going to be a little different because I've never had it before. And it's one that I've never heard of, which makes me excited. And hopefully I give it a good enough review to get you guys excited to whether you want to try it or not. And so we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But I do want to give a little bit of a background on the company before I get to the actual episode here and the way this works. And so on the bottle here, it says, whiskey from Scotland, married with Virginia whiskey distilled from malt mash. So what that means is that this company, Virginia Distillery Company, actually takes whiskey from Scotland. They import it, and there's an entire process because you can actually only import so much, and it all depends on these type of rules when you're bringing or exporting, not importing, exporting from another country. And so, but what they do essentially is they They take a finished whiskey from Scotland and they bring it over, and they, like they said on the bottle, they marry it with something that they have created themselves. And it's eventually created in Virginia, ultimately, but it's a Scottish whiskey, not a Scotch, but a Scottish whiskey, which are different. And it's the first time I'm ever actually going to be having this, and so I'm excited to see what it tastes like, and if it's something I like, because I have never heard about it. So let's go ahead and just take a sip, and then we'll get to going on The Mandalorian. Again, we're on episode 5, The Gunslinger, everybody. If you are going to be joining me on this watch along, I'm currently on Disney Plus. I am paused at 0000, and I'm on episode 5, The Gunslinger. This is the one where he goes to Tatooine. This is the one where he heads to Tatooine. And I said it in my tweet earlier, but this is my least favorite from the season, this episode. And so I'm very curious on how I feel about this episode after watching it again, from not seeing it, and I'm trying to say that right, from not seeing it since last year is what I was trying to say. Excuse me. I haven't seen it since last, November, December, maybe. So it's almost been a year, and being that it is my least favorite, I never was going to go back and watch it, but I'm interested to see how I feel about it now that everything is kind of sat, and I know what to expect from it. I did the same thing last week with episode 4. I really dissected it, and talking about it kind of made me think about things a lot more. And so I'm excited. But yes, let's go ahead and take a sip of this, and we'll get, yes, Ferris, I'll wait here just a second. Plug that in. Disney Plus, I'm currently at the 00 mark. It's a black screen. And so I'll get going here in about 15 seconds. Whoa, that is definitely interesting. I will get to that tasting here in just a little bit. Woo, that is unlike anything I've had before. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. Yes, here we go. So, Mandalorian, episode 5, season 1, The Gunslinger. If everyone is good to go, I'll count down from 5 here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Disney Plus logo. Now we're on the recap. Cool. Seeing a recap of Grief Karga, him stealing child back away. How's everyone doing today? All of you watching. How's everyone doing? Ferris, if you're wondering, I'm currently on the recap. I will pause it for about 5 seconds when the title card shows up, just so everybody can catch up if they're not there. I'm currently at 30 seconds, and they're doing a recap of the last episode. Hope everyone's good out there. Hope everyone had a good Thursday. Like I said earlier, it's been one hell of a week for me. Work has been absolutely chaos lately for me. And I'm glad, because today is my Friday. I took yet tomorrow off, not yesterday, tomorrow. And a good portion of it is because I'm holding my first official housewarming party on Saturday, which is I'm excited about. I did not skip the recap, Ferris, and I'm going to pause it here just in a second on the Mandalorian logo so everyone can catch up, just in case. Oh, there is no logo. Okay. All right. Well, we're keeping going. We got the space fight going on, which is awesome. Love this stuff here. That's right. The logo comes afterwards, I believe. I remember seeing this for the first time, and I'm here at 1:25. I remember seeing this for the first time and loving it because of the way it looks. Obviously, being a TV show, you're like, well, what's the budget on this type of stuff? But it looks fantastic. And then months later, learning that it's all being shot on something called the Volume inside of a soundstage in LA is remarkable. It is so cool and so interesting, the fact that this is all technology that they're able to play with now. Of course, Pedro Pascal, or whoever's in the Mando suit himself, is, in a cockpit, or the front of the Razor Crest, as they showed in the behind the scenes show. Just the part of the cockpit. They're obviously doing some shots there, but all of the space stuff, it's being shot of a giant, if you will, movie screen and being created that way, which is incredible. It's like so bonkers. And the way that he pulls this Top Gun move here, hit the brakes, fly right by him, all that type of stuff is amazing. Very reminiscent of season 2 trailer, by the way, where the Razor Crest is kind of floating into space. I'm going to pause it right there. So go ahead and pause. So everybody can catch up, know exactly where I am. I'm currently at 231 is where I'm at. 231 is where I'm at. If you want to rewind, I just want to make sure everybody is with me. I know some didn't recognize whether I skipped the recap or not. I'm currently, it says The Mandalorian, and I'm at 231. So I'll go ahead and click play here in just a second. Yeah, Billy, I'm with you. Seeing the baby. I can't wait for season 2 and seeing the baby. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to be a lot of fun. Day 3 of migraine shit work week. Yes, I am with you. I am with you. My job has been hectic lately, and it sucks. Okay, is everyone good? All right, 231 is where I'm at. Mandalorian title card is up, and I'll press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, episode 5, chapter 5, excuse me, the Gunslinger. We are headed to Tatooine. And if you missed the beginning of the show, I had said that this is my least favorite episode of the season. And so I'm excited to see what I think of it afterwards. And if I find anything different in it, after seeing it for a second time and waiting an entire year. I didn't mention this, but I chose. So I have like, oh God, I want to say 8 or 9 Star Wars whiskey glasses. Obviously, none of them are Mandalorian, which, you know, I need a Mandalorian whiskey glass or a child whiskey glass. There's actually a really cool episode of the Whiskey Jedi coming up soon, guys. There's a certain thing coming for me that I've been waiting for over a year for, which I am very, very excited for. And it has to do with the Mandalorian, which I mentioned. Anyway, I chose C-3PO today because C-3PO was created on Tatooine. It was the closest thing I could think of. You know, obviously, it's the one thing I can think of. No, R2, was doing stuff elsewhere. But no, and I know Vader's from Tatooine, which would have made sense. But you know what? I had a little fun. Put some droids in here, and include a 3PO glass. Plus, I haven't drinking from this one in a while. I mean, like I said, I have 8 Star Wars and probably up to 10 to 12 total. I got to rotate them. I got to make sure they're all getting their love, just like my whiskey. Yes, I do. You are correct, Billy. It's funny, actually. I forgot to grab them. You know what? I'm gonna press pause real quick, guys. I'm gonna press pause. So I'm gonna press pause and I'm gonna go grab these real quick. I'm currently at 4:14. So hold on 1 second. All right. So Billy brought up, and thank you, Billy, for the reminder. Hopefully that was quick enough for you guys. So I was given these with a very cool Kylo Ren whiskey glass, and they look like Beskar. They are the ice cubes that you can refreeze and use, and they don't melt. But I'm just going to call them my Beskar ice cubes. So there you go. There's my Mandalorian connection for today. Very, very cool. Keeps your whiskey or drink cold without ever melting, and you can refreeze them and reuse them, which is awesome. So thank you, Billy. Appreciate it. I'll throw those in my glass right now. All right. If everyone's good to go, I'm going to press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And of course, here we see the classic droids from the prequels. Of course, seeing Amy Sedaris here, I was looking for her name. That's why I was on pause there for a little bit. Amy Sedaris here is the cameo, and I know a lot of people are like, so unnecessary. I kind of didn't mind it. I kind of didn't mind the cameo for her. I thought the role that she had was pretty great. And a lot of people compared it to the bar owner, if you will, from the last episode, which ended up being Josh Gad's wife. I didn't mind Amy Sedaris in this episode, especially her role in the episode. Again, my least favorite episode, but I thought her character was interesting. Totally like a a wonky character that lives in the outskirts of Tatooine. Makes sense, Mos Eisley, you know. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, especially in a TV show. Like, that's what you expect. Maybe not a movie, but a TV show like this where you possibly never see her again. You know, it makes sense. And yes, Billy always coming up with the puns here. The best cubes. That's I'm trademarking that. Trademarking that. That's good. Best cubes. And of course, the great scene of the stormtrooper heads or helmets, I'll say, just so it's not so violent, on the spears. And so great shot. That was in the trailer that blew everybody away. God, he's so cute. Child walking down the ramp. So adorable. He looks so sad. I love the droids are just like so intrigued. It's like a dog meeting another. It's like a dog meeting a puppy, essentially, is what it looks like. They're just like so intrigued and interested in what's happening. And I make that analogy because I'm currently staring at my dog. No, Ferris, we're still going. We're still going. I'm at 7:17 right now. Amy Sedaris' character currently is holding the child. Something with bones in it. Nice. God, it looks so real. It's insane. And I notice this as I watch this more and more, how close and there's a shot where you can kind of recognize the volume, which makes sense. Again, it's a television show, so it's okay. But it's not something you recognize before knowing what the volume is. But what I was saying here is that the how close it is with the CGI version of the child versus the animatronic version. It looks identical. You cannot tell the difference. And then here, obviously, this being the Mos Eisley Cantina that we know from A New Hope, and there we see Bonnie Cannavale. Droids weren't let in to the cantina beforehand. A droid is now working the cantina, showing hard times after the Empire has fallen. Fennec Shan, man. I cannot wait to see this character. Fennec Shan. Fennec. I want to see her back in season 2. I know that there's this thing that we're going to talk about at the end of the episode. But I think that and Ming-Na Wen is just, she is an ass kicker. She's amazing. I was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. watcher. And so her as Agent May was always incredible. Obviously the voice is Mulan as well, and recently showing up in the live action version. But I would, and of course, because her character didn't get the development that she needed. And they're saying right now she's an elite mercenary, but she just dies in the first episode? Of course she's going to be back. Come on. All right, guys, we're at 10:05. Just giving you a timestamp. 10:05 is where we're at. He currently just agreed to help Bobby Cannavale's character on his first job, which you should know that you should never do. I got it all memorized. What the hell? I will also say, because I didn't mention this up top, but this is also directed by Mr. Dave Filoni, which makes sense. Him going back to Tatooine, maybe a little stuff he knows. smaller-ish scale, if you will, compared to some other stuff that goes on this season. But this is the episode that you can kind of recognize and be like, okay, maybe Dave Filoni definitely needs a little bit more work, obviously, but directing live action the first time and capitalizing on what he did with the first episode and the fifth episode, I mean, kudos to him. It's a big task. Hey, Mando. Yeah. Yes, Billy. Yep. I remember. Apocalypse, the other channel that I'm on, we had a news site that we ran for a while, and then it just kind of became a little bit overwhelming once the podcast had a certain certain workload. And I remember writing an article on what Fennec meant and how it can connect to the type of character that she is. There's no way they cast Ming-Na Wen for that type of character just to kill her off in one episode. There is no way that they do that. She'll be back. She'll be badass. It's going to be interesting to see what in kind of capacity she's going to be back. Whether she's good, bad, I'm not sure, but I can't wait to see her back. I think Ming-Na Wen deserves to be in so much stuff. And so I definitely hope that she comes back, whether it's season 2 or 3. It all depends on who that character is and whether or not we find out who that character is exactly at the end of the episode. If it is, in fact. And also, before I get there, that way I get them in time. That shot of the walking boots, I want to know who you guys think it is. Please comment and let me know, because I'd love to have a conversation about it at the end. Because there's obviously theories and thoughts and stuff like that. And I want to know what you guys think about who that could possibly be. I will say one thing about this, as we're seeing them speed on the bikes here. Beautiful, for one, duh. It's Tatooine with speeders all over again. Give me a little bit of a nostalgic vibe when Anakin went to go kill some Tusken Raiders on a speeder bike. Not as violent, obviously. But the music is really cool. Ludwig Göransson killing it again. So different from what we typically get with the show. Very cowboy-esque, which this episode very much is cowboy-esque. And so, the music, if you guys haven't seen the show before, the music always plays a giant part for how I watch things, whether it's television, movies, whatever it may be. So it's always something that I kind of keep an eye out for and highlight when I'm watching stuff. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing Bill Burr again too, which he has confirmed to be back, thankfully. And we'll see him next week on episode 6 as we get to that episode. I love this scene too. The Tusken Raider scene is great. We get to know more about them. They're obviously seen as a certain thing in the prequels and even the originals, but more so the prequels. They're definitely given much more of a character vibe in this show because of scenes like this. The fact that they use sign language is an incredible touch. It is so effing smart that they gave their language as sign language. And we know that from season 2 photos that we're going to be going back to Tatooine, and we'll see Tusken Raiders again. Again, in what capacity, I'm not sure. That's something we could talk about later on, but we will see them again in season 2, which is really cool. Which makes sense because you can tell that Dave Filoni loves playing with the ideas set up in the original movies that weren't furthered. One of them being the Tusken Raiders. Now, again, they were creatures that attacked in the originals, and he's kind of building on that and giving them characters, with the first touch being the sign language, which is great. Loved it. Love singing Tubac as well. Yeah, I mean, when was the last time we saw sign language represented in something as big as this? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Dewback looks great as well. The CG on this monster. Again, I mentioned it either last episode or the episode before. Creatures in this series is just remarkable. Yep, there we go. Fennec Shan. Snipe City! Dude, she looks so badass. Luckily, he's got that Beskar. Luckily, he's got those best cubes on him. Yeah, the fact that she's shooting from that far away and that on point is pretty remarkable. Poor Bobby Cannavale. He's such a kid. Like he acts like a kid is what I was trying to say. All right, I'm going to pause it here in just a little bit, so be ready, guys. Get that pause button ready. I'm going to pause it because it's kind of that point where I can pause it. I'll find a good time here in just a sec as we see Ming Na win, for the first time. All right, I'll pause it right there. So I'm currently at 17:22, and we see the ridge as night has come upon us. And I'm gonna get to some of this whiskey. I'm gonna start talking about some Virginia Highland whiskey here. And so I had mentioned, or I didn't mention, I kind of reacted to the way I tasted when I first tasted it, but I'm going to get to the actual nose part of this. And so when I opened the bottle earlier, because I had mentioned last week how I have a hard time opening stuff because of my hand, it had a very fruity sensation to it as it displays. It does. I can't pinpoint exactly what fruit, which is very rare for me. It's very much a mixture. I know cherries and berries play a huge part in whiskey sometimes. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that. But the taste is completely different. It is a completely different taste from what I recognize from the smell of it. Oh, Bobby Cannavale's son. Sorry. All right. Thank you, Billy. Thank you. And I forget his name. I don't know why I kept saying Bobby Cannavale, just because he's more recognizable. So thank you. But yes, so the taste of this is very, very different. It's actually a very dry taste, which I was not expecting. It's a very dry taste. The burn kind of is a delayed burn that goes down, which sometimes does happen. Sometimes does happen, but doesn't happen a lot. Typically, and when I say burn, it's the whiskey burn. It's not like a bad burn. That's just the way whiskey's described. And so the burn that you get from drinking it is a little delayed, which is not what I was expecting. But it's a slow burn. So it kind of builds and then it kind of sits with you a little bit. And so I was very intrigued at first, and I was wondering what was kind of going on in my palate. And then I started to realize that it's a very tart flavor with a berry sensation to it. I was doing research earlier on it, and a lot of people had said that there was actually hints of cocoa in it, which I personally can't taste. I'm not the best with tasting that type of stuff, or like multiple things at once. But a lot of people had said they can kind of taste cocoa and nougat, whatever, how do you say it? I'm not sure. Which is interesting because I've never seen that in a whiskey. And that more than likely comes from the Scotland side of it all. And again, this is the first time I've ever tried something like this in this realm. And so all of this kind of combination of stuff is very new to me, but it's interesting and I really do enjoy it. It obviously surprised me to at the beginning because you could tell when the first time I tasted it, it was nowhere near what I was expecting, but it's very, very dry. It kind of does hit you a little bit after you sip on it, but it's a slow burn that you enjoy. And it's a different flavor, which is what I like because my rack of whiskey, or my shelf of whiskey is what I should call it because it actually is a shelf, is very much full of bourbons because that's the mass-produced style. especially where I'm at. Obviously grocery stores hold a lot, but bourbon is typically what you get the most of. My favorite is Scotch. I almost said Scottish. My favorite is Scotch, and I only have 2 bottles of that, so I need to get more of that. But this is by far the most unique I've had so far. It's not my favorite. It is definitely not my favorite, but it is definitely one that I would happily go back to after a while, or if someone wants to try something for the very first time, and maybe they don't like something like a rye or a bourbon, I give this to them, and maybe they like this because it's so different, which I really enjoy. And that definitely comes from the combination of the two, being one Scottish and one American, coming from Virginia. And so if you're interested, and I know, Billy, you had just asked where I got it. This was gifted to me. I said this up top, if you had missed the beginning, but this was gifted to me as a housewarming gift from one of my best friends. He essentially just picked it off the shelf. He didn't know anything about it, and that's what I really like about whiskey, is picking it off the shelf. And so if you're a bourbon fan, like a strictly bourbon fan, you're more than likely not going to like this whiskey, because it does have a very different taste compared to what most of those have. It's much more in line with a Scotch than it is anything, I'll say that. But its dryness definitely creates something a little bit differently. And, paired with the delayed kind of hit burn that it gives you. And the interesting combination, I've talked a lot about whiskeys on here that have like a vanilla flavor, a little bit of like this hazelnut sensation to it. Some have been a little sweeter than others, but none have come close to tasting like this, where it's very, very fruity / dry. And, as it says in here, it has this like tart cherry berry flavor to it. I can definitely taste the berries. Again, I just can't pinpoint exactly which one. Some research did say cherries. And so I wouldn't be surprised, because those are used a lot. So if you like dry whiskey, if you're a fan that does have a little bit of a fruity sensation to it, or if you just like something that's not your typical whiskey, this is 100% something for you. I won't recommend this to everyone, is what I was trying to say. But if someone is a whiskey drinker and they're looking for something new to try, this is definitely one of those, because it goes through a very long, and I guess, just lack for a better term, important process to get to this point. It comes from Scotland first. They export it from Scotland. They get the whiskey that's already essentially been cured there. They bring it over, and then they put it in their own barrels here. And if I'm not mistaken, it actually said wine barrels. I could be mistaken. And so they combine the two, which you don't see a lot of. Like, I did an episode a few weeks ago on the Burning Chair, which was a whiskey I did that was up here in NorCal, Napa. And that whiskey had actually combined 3 American bourbons together and then let it sit in a wine barrel for 4 years. So it essentially combined 4 different drinks together into one to get its flavor. But none of them were from overseas, which makes it a lot interesting and a lot more different, because overseas stuff is a lot different from what we get here in America. And combining the two, they found the perfect blend, because it blends very well. It's just a unique and different flavor. I will definitely always say that if anyone ever asks me. It is something, like I said, I won't recommend it to everyone, because not everyone's going to like this. It's a unique palate. And I did check, most bottles run about $50, which isn't bad for whiskey. It's not bad at all. And so if you're interested and you want to try it, again, it's called Virginia Distillery Company is the name of the company that makes it. And it's called the Port Cask. So Port, C-A-S-K, finished Virginia Highland whiskey. And this is the bottle. Very, very cool looking bottle. Cool color too, like a mahogany looking color. Something that isn't very much seen. I'll read the bottle here real quick, just to kind of give a synopsis of where this company is coming from. So at Virginia Distillery Company, our whiskeys reflect the traditions of whiskey making combined with the influence of our home in the New World. Marrying whiskeys from the Old World with our maids in the Highlands of Virginia, aged at least 1 year, yields a distinguished and complex spirit. Port Cask finishing adds nuanced character with notes of rich dried fruit. There's the dried sensation, toffee, and dark cocoa. So there you go. There's 2 flavors that I couldn't taste personally. So toffee and cocoa is what they go for. We go beyond the norm with relentless dedication in delivering some of the finest, most distinguished whiskey expressions available, and nothing but. So yeah, they go for uniqueness, and they strive, and they completely knock it out of the park with uniqueness. I'll give it that much. It's not something I'll drink on a daily basis, and not something I'll drink on a weekly basis, but having it in my arsenal, if you will, definitely is a plus, because if I'm ever not feeling like drinking a bourbon, or I'm not feeling like opening my Johnny Walker Scotch or anything like that, I can open this and enjoy something that's different, and have something new that's almost every day. So again, Virginia Distillery Port Cask finished Virginia Highland whiskey. Definitely recommend if you are into some different stuff. So keep that in mind. I don't want to give you guys a bad rap or recommendation, I should say, if you don't like it. So if you do try it, let me know. I would love to hear from you guys if you do try it. So let's go ahead and get back to the episode here. We're currently sitting at 17:22. We're about halfway. We got about 17 plus minutes left, not including credits, stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and press play in about 5 seconds. So 17:22 is where we're at. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm currently looking at the Dark Horizon with Jake Cannavale. Thank you, Billy. Jake Cannavale is up on the ridge. He's talking to Mando, and we see Mando asleep, but not really asleep. Duh. He's always awake. He's always alert because he's a Mandalorian. Such a doofus. Are you done? It's kind of like the mentor in this episode, right? Very interesting. Such great graphics, man. It's insane the way this looks. I'm obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. There she is, getting ready to snipe. Flash. Boom. That just looks amazing as well. And there she is. Takes the helmet off. She's ready. Such a long way to go. Those speeders are badass. What an idiot of a shot. Idiot of a shot. And there goes Mando. And of course, he does the right thing. He shoots properly. Why does he get the kill? Right? Why does he get that? He doesn't deserve that. Such a sleazeball. Of course, he's about to get his ass kicked by Fennec. Luckily for that Beskar. Just the small scenes that we have of Ming-Na Wen. She fits perfectly into the Star Wars world, especially the Mandalorian world. I really hope that she becomes a reoccurring character. Mando to the rescue. His name is Toro. That's his name, Toro. I forgot his name this entire time. He's just a very forgettable character, if you will. After he gets his ass kicked. Yes, most of them are sleazeballs, but I will say most of the bounty hunters, that we see we're fans of. So we're fans of sleazeballs. Keep that in mind. Except for Mr. Toro here. Trash bag. He's just a trash bag. I just noticed my hair is doing something weird today. I've had a hat on it. This is a hat hair. This is weird looking part going on right now. She's no good to us, dead. Perfect. Obviously a callback to Mr. Boba Fett with Han. He's no good to me, dead. This guy think he's all high and mighty because he's got Fennec Shand. He didn't even do anything. Again, trash bag. He deserves his fate, if you will. I love that. I love that line too, because I mean it's obviously true. The suns are coming up, obviously because Tatooine has multiple. Fennec, come on. Don't do it. A young hotshot trying to prove himself. Of course he's going to believe this crap. And then he just pulls the trigger. Which hasn't happened yet. Don't worry. I'm not ahead of you. We've all seen it, hopefully. It's a classic bounty hunter, which makes her so good. Make the best deal for yourself and survive. That's that's bounty hunting to the T. Which, he tries to do anyway. Oh, Toro. Poor Toro. Remember, guys, keep let me know who you think that figure is at the end of this episode. We're not there yet, but I want to make sure you guys throw them in there before I get there. That way we can talk about them. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, we'll be there in just a little bit here. But it is something that will more than likely play a huge factor into future seasons. Maybe this season, I'm not sure. Yes, Bill, you are correct. Melinda May did, and she was an absolute badass. The cavalry, right? It's funny. I remember the very end, but I don't remember. I don't really remember what happens right now. I think it's just I blocked it all on my memory, being that it's my least favorite. I know that some stuff goes down, but I don't exactly know what it is. I'm also wondering why Toro just didn't leave. I guess he's just waiting for the bounty on him. But if you had the child is worth way more than him, right? You would think anyway. But I guess, young and stupid. We've all been there. Classic business. I'm really glad that and we see this a lot with whether it's a movie or television, but where in this same situation where a young hotshot is trying to prove himself, makes a bad decision on something, and it ends up being this like legit, super serious contention style of fight at the end. Not here, right? Clearly, Mando is superior. He's a superior fighter. He's a superior bounty. He's a superior everything. And so just to make it that quick as far as him outsmarting him and then ultimately shooting him very quickly makes the most sense. And I'm glad they didn't go over the top with a fight or anything like that, because it wouldn't have felt right. It wouldn't have felt right compared to what they did do in the fact that he just overtook him very quickly. I don't know what everybody thought, man. I think her character's great. Beggar's Canyon, another little Easter egg there. Of course, Beggar's Canyon coming from Luke in episode 4. The fact that is all a giant screen is remarkable. I'm blown away by the way this show looks. And it's only going to get better, too. Like, just imagine how successful it was and then it winning all these Emmys and look how much it's going to get better. Okay, so here's the scene. So, and I'm leaving it to freaking Dave Filoni to do that for this episode as the title cards pop up. Okay, so again, let me know who you guys think was at the end of the episode. I have some thoughts, obviously, and there's really 3 options in my mind that could happen before I turn back around to the whiskey here in a sec. The most obvious one is the one that most people talk about, is that that character was Boba Fett. That the spurs and the boots and like people drawing stuff online and figuring out, oh my God, it looks identical, that it's Boba Fett. Now, if you can see my background behind me, which that way, Boba Fett is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. I know that might seem like blasphemy to most people, but I have a lot of history with him through Legends, through comics, and a lot of other stuff. And the character I just love. He's one of my all-time favorite characters. He always will be. And so seeing him back obviously would be a huge plus for me. Now, whether or not that was him, I'm not sure, because it's too dark. They could be leading in one direction and it could be another. If it was Boba Fett, I wouldn't want to see that character return or that moment be mentioned until the end of season 2. I think that there's going to be too much going on in season 2 in the opening to really dive back into it. I don't want them to forget what they're doing right now and lead into this. If he is in fact going to come back, I don't want him to be a bad guy until season 3. 1, because of what I just mentioned. 2, and the biggest reason is that Moff Gideon is the bad guy. Moff Gideon is the bad guy, and so I don't need Boba Fett in this upcoming season. If it is him, it's a great tease for something down the line. It is. Maybe he has a relationship with Fennec Shan. Maybe he's been living on Tatooine this entire time, kind of getting back his things, stuff like that. The other, or the second of the 3 options is that, and it's the most simple one, is that it's nobody we know, and they were just leading us in one direction. But the third option is the one that I kind of am starting to believe a little bit more, and that it's Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth. Let me look up his name real quick. And someone can correct me if they want to. Let me just make sure. Cobb Vanth is what it is. Cobb Vanth. And if you didn't know already, Timothy Oliphant was cast in season 2. Now, it was rumored that he would be playing Cobb Vanth in the upcoming season, but it was never officially confirmed. Now, if you don't know who the character Cobb Vanth is, 1, he's a really, really, really cool character. He is from the book series plus other stuff. The book series Aftermath, which took place after Return of the Jedi. And essentially what happens is he finds Boba Fett's armor and he becomes a sheriff of a town on Tatooine, and he's rocking Boba Fett's armor. Now, that to me sounds like the biggest possibility. The only thing that makes me think otherwise is that he's the sheriff of a town that isn't Mos Eisley. And obviously they traveled a long ways, and we don't know how in close capacity he is. Like, what would he be doing there? That's obviously the biggest question. But I'm starting to believe that character is Cobb Vanth, and that was a nod for hardcore Star Wars fans, because it would be a really cool story. And another thing that you can include is that now that we have the season 2 trailer, is that maybe Mando comes back to Tatooine because he hears that Boba Fett is back, but it's not in fact Boba Fett. It is Cobb Vanth in Boba Fett's armor. And so that's definitely a possibility. Either way, 1, Timothy Oliphant in the series, duh, plus. Boba Fett armor is back, duh, plus. But if it is in fact Boba Fett, I don't want to see him back until season 3. I think that he'd be a great season villain. I do. I think he'd be a great antagonist to our Mando. It would be awesome. Mando versus Mando. I think it'd be great, especially after seeing Mando grow a little bit more. But don't rush into it. If you are doing more seasons, save him. You don't need to do him. Everyone is already sold on the idea of the show. You don't need to bring in a character like Fett to do that. And so I do hope that they save him. And I do think that they're going to bring Boba Fett back in some capacity. Whether or not that was that character, I don't know. But I do think that it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when for Boba Fett returning. And so there's my 2 cents on that last scene. I would not be surprised if it is Cobb Vanth and it was just a nod for hardcore fans. That figure's clearly feta cheese himself, Boba Fett. Yeah, man, I think I look, that's what most people are going for. That's what most people are going for. And it would make the most sense. Like, it would definitely make the most sense because it was the one thing people thought of, right? They connected the spurs. He's got Mando style armor on with the boots and the cape. And plus it's what people want to see. People have been talking about it for how long they want to see Boba Fett back, how he climbed out of the Sarlacc pit. We may get our answers in this show. And so either way, if they do that, I'm happy they're doing it. I just want it saved for later on. I want his story fully told. I don't want it to be a voiceover of like, yeah, I climbed out of the Sarlacc pit, I did this, and it's just like a quick shot. I want like a full episode dedicated to seeing that. And I don't feel like they're going to have enough time in this upcoming season. They may. They may, and I may be completely wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I hope that's for season 3 because I think he'd be a really, really cool villain for an entire season or 2. After all of the Empire and Moff Gideon stuff is wrapped up. Having the two of them together would be a lot. Would be a lot. And especially with only 8 episodes, them being 30 to 45 minutes, you already have enough to tell. Don't convolute it too much. And so those are my thoughts on that one. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 5. I'll say this much. I still kind of feel the same about the Gunslinger. Obviously, I think that Jake Cannavale, thank you, Billy, for that. I think the character is just wonky, wacky, whatever you want to say it, however you want to say it. I'm glad he's dead. Boom, boom, see you later. Definitely kind of like a one-off episode that really didn't feel like it connected to everything else. I know it felt good for certain developments, and it was really nice to see Tatooine again and Mos Eisley again, which is obviously why they did it. But to the overall story, it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. And I know that it set up Fennec Shand, and we'll definitely see her back, or at least we hope we see her back. But it almost felt like the entire episode was only for that last scene. And if that is the case, like, great, they got us hyped. But at the same time, that's not all that necessary. It just kind of started a conversation that led nowhere, and now it kind of died down. That's going to pick back up at some point. And so, yeah, those are my thoughts on the Gunslinger. As far as the whiskey is the winner today. I think I enjoyed the whiskey a little bit more than the episode. And I'm happy about that because I had no idea what to expect from it. It's something completely new for my taste buds, something different from everything I have on my rack. And so I definitely, like I mentioned earlier, I recommend it if you're interested in something unique and different and unlike anything you've had before. And that is Virginia Distillery Company. And that is the Port Cask finished Virginia Highland whiskey. Very, very cool looking bottle, lighter style whiskey, but definitely a unique style whiskey, being that it's combined from Scotland and Virginia. And so check that out if it's around anywhere in your grocery store options. If you want to give it a taste, let me know what you think if you do. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments, whether you want to post it on social media, whatever it is. If you want to find me on social media, that is at Qui-Gon Jake. I am everywhere. See if I can get the pointing right. There we go. At Qui-Gon Jake on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me there. I'm doing all kinds of stuff with Star Wars. I'm doing all kinds of stuff with movies. I have another movie podcast called Apocalypse Movies. Myself and my buddies just hang out. We talk movie news and do cool fantasy draft stuff like that. I'm also involved in something called the Movie Trivia Schmodown, which most of you are from. So thank you very much. I run a podcast called A Certain Point of View over there. So check that out as well if you're interested in movie trivia. It's wrestling and movie trivia. Think about that. It is wrestling and movie trivia. So for this week's episode of the Whiskey Jedi, thank you to everyone who's been watching live and hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Again, guys, this show, is every week on Thursday. It's been running on Thursdays lately. It's been working out really well for me. And so it'll continue on Thursdays. Next week, I will be looking into episode 6, which we get into the prison episode of The Mandalorian. I'm coming down to the wire, which it actually kind of worked out perfectly the way I did this because I have the final 3 episodes, which will lead up to a season 2 preview and then the first episode of The Mandalorian. So for the next 2 months, it's going to be all Mando here. Unless something else happens, it's going to be all Mando. And I will say this as well. For those of you who do hang out with me and enjoy this, and I really appreciate that, you're probably going to see a little bit some different stuff from me as well. I might be streaming some Star Wars Squadrons on this channel very soon. It comes out next week. My capture card came, and so I might be playing some games on this channel as well. So if you're interested in that, just again follow me on Twitter, and you will see the link and all of that available there, as that is kind of where I promote myself, if you will. So again, to everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me and joining me on the show today. I really, really appreciate it. If you try the whiskey, let me know what you think of it. If not, it's totally okay. I totally understand. And let me know your thoughts on episode 5 of The Mandalorian. So again, this is the Whiskey Jedi podcast. I am the Whiskey Jedi, Jake Berlin, a.k.a. Qui-Gon Jake. And make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. You can also find me on all audio platforms as well, and every other channel I mentioned. So again, thank you everyone to watching, and I'll see you guys next week. May the force be with you.